last night, people at Universal's City Walk were evacuated by police after a huge fight broke out in a nearby parking garage.
That is a 16-year-old crashing an SUV after leading troopers on a wild chase.
New body cam video was just released from OPD of an officer-involved shooting.
Now we're going to turn to a tense encounter caught on police body camera that could have ended very differently. It started when East Point police stopped a man on a four-wheeler.
Known to the most of the world as a cradle of fun and enjoyment, Orlando, Florida is home to numerous exciting theme parks, beautiful lakes, and amazing weather. These are just but a few reasons why people yearn to visit Orlando. But did you know that Orlando is also known for its absurdly high crime rate? With a crime rate of 45 per 1,000 residents, Orlando has one of the highest crime rates in America compared to all communities of all sizes, from the smallest towns to the very largest cities. Your chances of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime here is 1 in 22. It seems like the crime reached its peak in 2021, when Orlando was hit by an unprecedented case of organized crime. Today, we're here to tell you about what really happened to DisneyWorld Crew, so get ready to hear about Florida's biggest RICO case ever. A lot of people are surprised by the fact that one of the most extensive RICO operations conducted on U.S. soil wasn't witnessed that long ago at all. In fact, it only happened July 2nd, 2021 at Disney World's very own Orlando. July 2nd, 2021 was the day Orange County Sheriff's Office disclosed the results of their intensive 9-month work to the world. They posted the suspects who were taken in custody on Twitter, Facebook, and on their official website. The operation was conducted in alliance with the Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation and other federal agencies. History books will remember their efforts against the crime for Operation XForce. As for us, we'll probably remember it as Florida's biggest RICO case ever. During the operation, exactly 34 individuals were targeted and surveilled by law enforcement in order to put an end to an abysmal gang war between two sinister crews wreaking havoc amongst the streets of Orlando: Army Gang, or AFNF, and 438 Gang, or 438 for short. Interestingly enough, among the 34 people who are on the watch list, 2 of the names stick out the most to us hip-hop fans. Glock 9, who was on the forefront of AFNF, and Hot Boy, associated with the 438, both up-and-coming Orlando rappers known for their aggressive and violent rap styles. The first guy who broke his way into the music scene was Glock 9. The whole year of 2018 was his time to shine. He had his debut mixtape Bloodshell's Revenge in April of 2018. Then the mixtape Loyalty Kill Love got out, as well as the hit single 10%. It was just never the same for him from there on. On Friday, 3rd of August 2018, the Cash Money record label CEOs Birdman and Slim signed Glock 9, and that's what got his music career rolling for real. Glock 9 was known to be a troublemaker ever since a young age. Somehow he managed to be in jail more than 10 times by the age of 18.
I mean, because you're how old? Early 20s?
18.
You're 18 right now?
Yeah, I just turned 18.
You just turned 18?
Yeah.
You've been in jail 12 times?
Yeah.
And that's only the beginning of his felony record. He was guilty of carrying concealed firearms, and of course, those were illegal, since you can't own them before the age of 21 in the state of Florida. He was caught with illegal substances a number of times, and he was a notorious carjacker ever since he was 13 years young. Before signing a deal with Cash Money, he was mostly ducking the accusations however he could. But since he got signed, he had help from the private lawyers that were working for Cash Money. 2018 was also the year that his friend Hot Boy got released out of juvie too. He was serving 2 years in a detention center that he got for damaging city property. This time that he had spent in detention turned out later to be important for his lyrical inspiration. The tracks he made the following years of 2019 and 2020, in collaboration with such artists like LPB Pooty, RICO Cartel, and 438 Talk, were heavily influenced by his time behind bars. Some of the lyrics for his tracks were written entirely in juvie. However, as he got out and started coming back to his thing with music, he quickly caught himself in the middle of an ongoing beef between his friend Glock 9 and Pooty. A beef he tried squashing himself, but he just wasn't able to. And had gone too far, and there was no peaceful solution to this problem. Although Pooty and Glock 9 kicked it together when they were on the come up, they didn't see eye to eye ever since 2018. Being cocky, Glock 9 believed that Pootie only got famous because he was rocking with him. Glock 9 wanted to be the only one from O making noise. That's why he called Pootie out in his tracks and on his social media. He even did an Instagram live where he made fun of him after he got injured. Pootie replied back. He made a diss of his own, both on social media and on tracks too. One of his most successful tracks, Address It, was a Glock 9 diss. A lot of people would agree that this beef, as well as the fights over territory control, served as a catalyst for what were to come. In other words, this is where things started going south. The gang war between AFNF and 438 was a menace. Just to give you an idea how bad the situation was, the city of Orlando had approximately 30 shootings just between the months of April and October in 2020. Broad daylight incidents, innocent bystanders getting hurt, and crazy incidents happening in front of daycare facilities were all common during these hectic times. Now, let's take a little deeper look into what actually caused these gangs to become so brutal towards one another. The first gang of the two most important ones was the AFNF. This gang was in charge of West Orlando, specifically the Mercy Drive area, a place known for being extremely dangerous and allegedly built on a cemetery. Because of the constant incidents arising left and right, the police had 24-hour surveillance throughout the neighborhood at some point. The first of many incidents caused by AFNF was the robbery of the Kentucky rapper 2K Baby. A few members of the AFNF took 2K Baby's belongings, such as his mouth grill, his chain, and the money that he had on him. Afterward, they reached out to the rapper on Instagram in order to sell him back his own stuff. That's brutal. Their very own Glock boy was making money with rapping on tracks, but it wasn't his only source of income. He also used social media in order to distribute illegal substances, such as cocaine. The code name that was being tossed around was T-shirts, which was a synonym for a certain amount of coke that was being pushed. Then, on the 14th of April 2020, tragedy hit Orlando. During a house party, Glock 9's best friend, 20-year-old who goes by the name of Demetrius Cox, shot and took Wolf Luma's life. Officials believe Demetrius did it as a sign of retaliation, seeking revenge over a lost gang member. Wolf was well known with the 438s, specifically being Hot Boy's closest guy and also a friend of Pootie. As if that wasn't enough damage caused, a few AFNF members decided to form a drive-by during the Wolf Luma Memorial. As they approached the spot of attendance, they started firing rounds at random people, hitting Pootie and 3 other people. The one who suffered fatal injuries was Dexter Rentz, a 19-year-old football prodigy. Dexter was supposed to enroll in university just a month later, being funded by a sports scholarship, but unfortunately he was caught in a series of bullets that took away his life. The officials believe the drive-by took place as a form of retaliation. The AFNF members were upset because of the fact that Demetrius Cox got locked up for what he did to Wolf Luma. Then on July 7th, 2020, one of Glock 9's friends called Baby Joker went on a ride through the enemy-controlled turf. The idea on his mind was simple: tag enemy rivals and get out. Quickly, they found a house where one of Hot Boy's friends stayed at. It was Vashon Sand's place. He parked his gray Dodge Challenger in front of the yard and opened fire upon several people, including Van Shawn. Folks in the yard quickly went inside of the house and grabbed firearms of their own. They started fighting back. Baby Joker's hit attempt was a complete disaster that left him with serious wounds. He died in his own car as a result of the injuries. 438 gang would later reference his failed attempt in their songs. Hot Boy talked about it in one of his tracks called Left Lonely, where he said, "I don't care what you did, come do it twice, ain't no fear in me. Your little stepper ran down and he died, how you feeling, G?" No, literally, ran that dude over, caught him in the streets. During this period, rappers from the 438 like Hot Boy, but others too, such as Cut 'em Reese, started performing quite well. Their status and rap name grew, not only because they focused on music and producing hot tracks, but also because they kept out of jail, something that Glock 9 had a lot of struggle with. Most likely because of his jealousy over the success of the 438 gang. Glock 9 started an attack on Cut 'em Reese, an attack that would go back and forth between the two for a couple of months. Glock 9 hit first and left Reese's house full of holes. Then Reese went without hesitation, paired up with his boys, and pulled up to Glock 9's aunt's place. They proceeded to spray bullets all over the house, just like Glock 9 did to his place. According to the police, there were at least 5 attempts by Glock 9 to take out Reese. It went as far as AFNF members catching Reese in his car during a music video filming. The straw that broke the deal with the feds getting involved with the RICO case was none other than the Millennium Mall incident. After what took place at the parking lot in front of this mall, the authorities knew they had to get all hands on deck if they wanted to get to the bottom of this non-stop crime that infested the city of Orlando. 3 438 members were leaving the mall The 3 of them were caught on camera as they left the building, and the camera feed also showed that they got into a white BMW. They were confronted by not only Glock 9, but 3 other AFNF members too. All hell broke loose when all of a sudden both parties opened fire. Luckily for everyone who was at the mall at the time, there were no casualties. However, there were a couple other shootings that did end up in casualties. Not only that, but the people who lost their lives were innocent bystanders, man. First, on September 21st, 2020, Glendale lost 2 souls after another drive-by incident. One of them was Dennis Joshua Atkinson. The misery taking place forced the homicide detectives to refer to the public in order to get assistance in solving cases. Perhaps the biggest tragedy that absolutely devastated the hearts of the community was the passing away of a 3-year-old who was hit by a stray bullet after an exchange of shots on Drexel Avenue. Just one day after Dennis passed, little Daquan James Felix got hit and died as a result. The last innocent victim of this awful gang war was Tabia King. The 16-year-old was at the wrong place at the wrong time, man. She entered the car of her friend's brother, who kindly offered her and her friends a ride back home. A group of people from another vehicle opened fire on the car, and Tabia was hit by one of the bullets. Even though they made it to the hospital, she didn't survive the incident. As we mentioned in the beginning, the RICO case hit the media just 2 months after the tragedy at Tabia King. The fact that she was the niece of Orlando City Commissioner Regina Hill may have sped the case up. If the victims' families weren't directly involved, perhaps the RICO case would have come in a bit later. In any case, it was bound to happen. The case resulted in 34 people being brought in an attempt to finally put an end to the gang war that escalated far beyond anybody's expectations. This was, without a doubt, one of the most significant collective cases that the state of Florida has ever fought. People are disappointed and puzzled by the fact that some choose to live this way. One comment reads, "This terrifies me as a young teen looking at these young men throwing away their lives like this. God be with you all." Not all of the 34 members were brought in custody. Some of them are still at large. Also, not all of the members have been convicted of the same crimes. Some are facing more charges than others. Higher members of the organization are charged with more than just violating the RICO Act. However, all of them are facing that RICO charge. As for Hot Boy and Glock 9, they both made it on the list of XForce. Glock 9 was labeled as a member of the Army gang, and he was taken into custody. Hot Boy, on the other hand, was labeled as a member of the 438 gang. He is on the run right now. But once he's taken into custody, he too will be facing the same charges. Hopefully, this operation brings some much needed peace to the Orlando community and brings at least some peace to all the grieving families.